walk through the fire. Yeah, yeah, yeah. My mama raised me to be. And if you knew my grandmother, you'd understand what I mean. I was born for this mission. Do not need your permission to be who I was born to be.
Peace and love, family, and welcome to another episode of I Thought We Wanted Change, where we have real conversations with real people who speak the unapologetic truth. I'm your host, Sister Natural, and today we're diving deep into a topic that impacts so many of us but often go unspoken: healing from trauma, taking care of our mental, emotional, and physical health, and bringing awareness to suicide prevention. This episode is called Healing Conversations Journey to Inner Peace because that's exactly what we're here to do. We have real conversations that lead to healing and growth. Today, I'm joined by three amazing guests who each will discuss and bring a unique perspective to this conversation. My sister Aisha Shaheed, a powerful community organizer and holistic practitioner who focuses on healing the mind, body, and spirit. Ashley Green, a poet and suicide ideation survivor who uses her arts and her voice to spread awareness and hope. Brother Chance Robertson, a qualified mental health professional dedicated to guiding individuals through their healing journey. So, welcome to the conversation, family. So, Sister Aisha, would you want to introduce yourself first?
Yeah, sure. Peace, everybody. My name is Aisha Shaheed. Born and raised in Houston, Texas. A product of Prairie View A&M University, the home with the purple and gold. I got my degree in kinesiology, and currently I am a holistic practitioner. And that really came about for me in about 2016. So this is after college, after my bachelor's degree, um, and really just trying to figure out what I wanted to do after school. And so about 2016, that's kind of when that began. So, and I do many other things too. I don't feel like listing them all, but I do a plethora of things in the community.
Yeah.
Okay, Ashlyn.
Hi, my name is Ashlyn. I am the owner of Solace Wellness Space, and it is where I teach individuals or guide individuals back home to themselves before they may have experienced trauma, any experiences that may have taken them away from who they truly are at the core of who we are. And so I guide people along that journey through my soul essentials, which one of those soul essentials for the soul, is my voice. And so tonight I'll be able to share a bit of my voice and my soul essentials with this audience today.
Thank you. I know I did a little introduction on all of you, but Chance, would you like to introduce yourself to the people? Can you hear us?
HISD as well as the Harris Health. I can hear you guys. Can you hear me?
I could now.
All right. So I work in emergency psych in the hospitals in the Harris Health System. I also work in the schools doing behavior management as well as a learning coach. So I do a lot of community work, and I'm just here to try to help people have a better awareness of mental health, and
Mhm.
also how we can work together to try to make mental health more of a norm in our community instead of so taboo.
Mhm.
Beautiful. Okay, so y'all got to bear with me. I'm a little under the weather. So let's start by talking about trauma. So many of us carry unhealed wounds, whether from childhood, relationships, or just living in society that often break us down instead of lifting us up.
Mhm.
Um, so, Aisha, I want to begin with you. In your work as a community organizer and holistic practitioner, what patterns do you see in our communities when it comes to trauma and healing?
Well, the first thing I see is, being able to identify it, being aware enough to identify that you are going through something emotionally, mentally, physically, and spiritually. And a lot of times that's hard to identify for many different reasons. One in particular, nobody wants to associate themselves with anything that is seen as negative, or they don't want to be looked upon. And so a lot of times people put a mask on to cover a lot of things, that they have going on. um,
Mhm.
Another thing is, being able to, people who do know, being able to communicate about it. A lot of times people find it hard to communicate with somebody about what they have going on because they feel like they're going to get judged, or there's shame or there's embarrassment about around something that they went through. So they would rather just be quiet. So I think the main thing that I see is just the awareness of it and being able to identify and be able to communicate with somebody about it.
Mhm.
Um, so, Ashlyn, can you give us like a little backstory because of your title that was listed on the show? If you don't mind, if I mean, if you
Mhm.
want to share a little bit or be a little bit transparent, you don't have to tell your actual business, but
Yes, I'm open. That's why I'm here. I feel like things happen exactly. I was telling Aisha that I've been being pulled to talk about this lately, this month, at different platforms, and so I'm grateful to be able to even talk about it because somebody needs it, And so in 2022, and I'm gonna breathe through this. I'll be having to breathe and stay with my breath. Um, in 2022, I was working at a job. I went from college, then got called back to my college that I graduated from, and was working there just nonstop. I was working with college students, so they all somehow my number would get spread, and they would have my number after hours, and so I was also on call. And then people quit, and it came to a point where it was just me there. Um, and I remember one day I woke up and I looked around my room, and I was like, I have not been cleaning up. Like I've been putting all of my trash from my fast food that I've been eating every night in a box and hiding it from myself. And haven't been taking showers. My skin is breaking out because I have been eating fast food, not taking showers, not caring for myself. Biting my nails, just very frail. I have pictures of me being very skinny and frail. Like you can tell I hadn't been really. When I did eat, it was fast food, but for the most part, I wasn't eating. And I looked and I paused because I was going to yoga twice a day. I was doing comedic yoga twice a day in New Orleans. And I got to that point and I was like, oh, I don't want to be here. And that was the first time that I actually sat with it. It was like, I have been avoiding this. It was this functional depression. And so I was still functioning, but I was depressed. And depression is nothing but suppressed emotions in the body. And so I wasn't truly expressing myself. And I remember I was on the phone with my mama and I was like, Mama, I don't want to be here. She was like, Ashton, what do you mean you don't want to be here? I said, I don't want to be here. You know, the typical question when you ask somebody and they're like, I don't want to be here. And you like, what do you mean you don't want to be? I don't want to be here. And I told her, I said, I think that I've loved you enough. I've loved everybody enough to be able to, y'all will be okay without me. And yeah, I had gotten to the point where I was very specific with how I wanted to leave. And it was nothing that anybody could have told me at that point that would have got me out there. So my grandmother had to come and drive and get me from New Orleans at the time. And like they kept me on watch, but it was dark. It was very dark. And at that time, somebody had just jumped off the bridge in Baton Rouge. And I was like, oh, she did it. She left a nice a nice letter, you know. I was like, it gave me peace. And so, yeah, that's my story. It took me a minute to come out of that darkness, but I did make it to the other side. And I'm grateful that I did make it to the other side because it was so much more to life. So much more to life. Yeah. I can't hear you.
I'm sorry, because I tend to mute sometime whenever the other person is speaking. So I want to say that you're a very strong individual for even sharing that story with us. So you've been very open about your journey as I would say a survivor because you survived through everything that you went through. I commend you for that. Can you share a little bit about the healing process and what it looks like for you, um, and using poetry as a tool
Mm.
for your like survival and to connect with other people?
Mm-hmm. Um, ooh, emotional. I was not expecting to be emotional. So the healing journey was hard, and I couldn't have done it without my village. Like I said, my grandmother had to come and get me physically, get me, pick me up, put me in the car, and I was on watch at her house. Um, and I was like, okay, if I can't leave here, send me to Colorado. Colorado is my safe space. Colorado is my spot of retreat. That's where I go to recharge ever since this time. And I went and my hair was cut off because I had cut my hair off. That was my first sign. Like I just snipped it all off. So my hair was just sticking up and I was frail. And so I went to Colorado and I began to write. And I just kept writing in my journal. I had videos of me outside just on a trampoline, just writing. And it became a true outlet for me to write. And I had wrote my first poem by the water. And I hadn't shared it yet though. I didn't share it with the world. It was just my thing. But it took the healing journey, it took for me to pick up more tools that they may have worked for me before this point, but now they didn't work. Mm-hmm. And so writing was another one of my tools. Expressing was another one of my tools because I had realized that depressed emotion, suppressed emotion, I was not expressing it. I was always the strong one. Everybody could come to me. You come to me, I'm about to help you with something real quick. So writing was my way of talking to the divine, talking to myself, getting it out of me. And it was a long journey. I would be lying if I sat here and say that ever since that point, I never had another thought about it. That's a lie. But I just had to go day by day and realize that I saw a quote that said, in the end, it'll be okay. And if it's not okay, it's not the end.
I like that.
If it's not okay, it's not the end. And so I just held on to it. Because okay, if it still ain't okay. So it must mean it ain't the end, you know? But I had to really lean on my support and my people, because my people, man, my mama, my sister, friends who you think won't listen to you, they ready to listen. They ready to hold the phone. They ready to be there. And I had to realize that and put my pride to the side and stop looking at it like a weakness, and truly go within myself and stop looking to other people too. It forced me to go within. And I was telling my sister Aisha, a lot of people, they say I want to leave, but they really just want to leave the circumstance.
Yeah.
Or the environment.
Yeah.
So it's like, I don't want to be here, but the only way out is not out of this world.
Yeah.
And I think we have to have more conversations surrounding what that feeling is. Because that feeling is not always, I want to leave this world. No, this circumstance right here, I can't take it. And that was me. I just couldn't take working. Like working as much as I was working, I couldn't take it. It felt like my soul was just being sucked out of me. And I'm a creative being. So once I started to create, it started to help me a lot more because I was expressing and it wasn't depressed within me.
And it's great that you had that village that you could lean on and people that you could lean on and trust. What do you say to the people that don't really have that type of support?
Mm-hmm. I say to the people who don't have that support, reach out. Therapists, they have hotlines. They have people who you can call and talk to. The suicide hotline, I don't know the number right off of the back of my head, but they have that. But also, if you don't want to reach out to anybody, because that was the last thing on my mind, was reaching out to anybody that's not my people. I say write until you can't write no more, because that's gonna really push you within yourself. And it's only asking you to go deeper within yourself. It's only asking you to be courageous enough to leave your situation.
Yeah.
The experience is only asking you to be courageous enough to leave not this world, but whatever experience it is. And if you feel like you can't leave, hold on to one thing. I always tell people, hold on to one thing, one reason. And my reason was my sister texting me and saying, Ashlyn, I need you here. I can't, you can't leave. And I held on to that. And then she had a child, and her child needed me. And so I don't know where she would be. I don't know where a child would be without me. I don't know where the people who I've touched would be. It gets, and I know we don't want to hear that it gets better, but it gets better. We experience contrast to help push us into who we truly are. And then, like I said, if you need to get a therapist, you do that. And it doesn't make you weak. It don't mean you telling all your people business. You know, you do what you need. Go outside. It's asking you to cater to self. How have you been neglecting your spirit? And for me, I was neglecting it in more ways than one.
And I want to piggyback off of that, sister, because I think I never had the thought of suicidal thoughts, but I have had the thoughts of just not wanting to be here. And I think that was more prominent during the COVID area. And for me, I am what you would consider an empath. And so as I can be in my house and I can still feel what's going on outside around me. And when you have a sense like that, it can really affect you. And I think in 2021, I had some deaths that were consecutive back to back. And I was just like, I told one of my spiritual mother, like, I don't want to be here. She's like, what do you mean? Like, why are you running away? Like, I'm not running away. This is not the environment that's conducive to me, and I ended up going to Jamaica for the first time ever for 9 days for comedic yoga certification. And I cried when I was on the plane because I was like, it's so beautiful and it's so much out here for us to see. And we're confining ourselves in this little space and it's so much out here. And so 6 months later, I sold all my stuff and my family really didn't understand what I was doing. They're like, Aisha, why are you doing that? Why are you selling your car? Why are you giving away your couch? And I'm just like, because it's just stuff and I can get it again, but that's not what's important to me right now. My heart is hurting, so I had to get out of here and I left for 2 years. And when you talk about community, outside of, people that I've done stuff with in the community, my first community, which is my family, they did not understand and it wasn't much support. And so I found support in a new community, which I found in Mexico, and so I definitely, understand and feel, what you are saying. And I think, like you said, I needed that time to get away to really see who I was without the community, without the community work, without everybody heal, without, people needing me, without me showing up to here and there. Who am I? What do I need? And what I held on to was like, I love myself. I love myself enough to remove myself and take care of myself in the way that I need to for myself, because nobody's going to do it for me.
No, yeah.
Right.
I definitely agree. And I had moved too. I went to flew to Colorado that same week. I went back to Louisiana, got my car, got my stuff, packed it. My sister came and we drove 16 hours to Colorado and I stayed there for a year. Wow. So a lot of times it's you needing to leave your environment, needing to leave the experience, whatever it is. And if you feel like you can't do that, then try to leave it mentally as much as you can. This ability to visualize, it'll get you to Mexico in about a month. So
thank you for sharing. So suicide and the feelings of wanting to not be here is something that we don't always talk about. And especially in Black families, they say, what goes on in the household stays in the household. And I'm glad now we see that when it comes to therapy, how important it is, because I even tell my mom, like to this day, I wish that you would have gave us some type of therapy as, we were growing up because some of the things that we did face. You know, back then people didn't, and I don't really know all of your ages, but families didn't really believe in that. They didn't believe in going and seeking therapy. They felt like it was like something for white people. That's something white people do. But I'm glad that, a lot of us are reaching out more and speaking, about our situations to, like our close friends, or even a therapist, somebody that we could talk to, spiritual
Mhm.
advisor. It's always good to have someone.
Yes.
So, I'm glad that you're still here, and you made that choice to be here and to be a voice, you know, um, and tell your testimony to others, and encourage others along the way that may be feeling the same way that you do. So,
I received. Thank you.
so, brother Chance, as a mental health professional, what are some of the signs that someone might be silently struggling with? And how can we, as friends and family, or even community members, show up for that person?
Um, just some basic signs. I just want to again thank that sister for sharing the story. Because that's new and it's very bold. And I
Your audio is a little
I
choppy.
shared that story. She and she talked about the not properly taking care of yourself sometimes. Um, the losing of weight. People being isolating themselves. This person was normally an outgoing person. Now all of a sudden, you don't see them no more. They just go ghost. Check on your people. People are having silent struggles, and you see them every day. You don't know it. So we gotta stop saying how you doing as just like a greeting. And when you say how you doing, open your ears up and listen. We just gotta start being.
You're on mute, Ashton.
I was saying he went out, but he was making a beautiful point about how we have to start asking more, like really meaning how is your heart? How are you feeling? And that's how whenever I get on stage, that's what I say. I'm like, how y'all, like, no, how y'all really feeling? Like, how, and then like, thank y'all for being here. No, I'm really grateful that y'all here, like, still here, still living, you know. And he was also, I don't know if everybody heard, but he was saying, about the signs, like somebody who's really outgoing and then they kind of start withdrawing themselves is a sign. That's what he was saying too.
But sadly, I've noticed that some people that are suicidal, they walk around with a smile.
Yep. I
So
would.
Sorry about that, guys.
it's okay. We can hear you better now.
For sure.
Okay.
But no, I'm just saying, like, we got to get back to talking to each other and really having conversations.
Hmm.
People. I think people forget how much therapy was going on at grandma's house at Sunday dinner. People forget how much therapy was going on in that beauty shop, how much therapy was going on at that barber shop. Just from people sitting down, actually spending time with each other, communicating with each other. We got to get back to that family thing, and I think that family time used to be our mental health back in the day. We just didn't know that that's what it was called. We got to be able to sit down and express ourselves to one another without feeling like this person don't want to hear what I got to say. It got to matter to us again for everybody around us to be okay. So just small things like just coming together. If you and your family don't get together all the time, get together. Talk to each other, communicate with each other, share those secrets with one another, in confidence that you know hey, I might be sharing something that might be something that I don't like about myself, but it might help somebody else not have to go through that struggle. So I don't want to just be so much on the taboo mental health, but mental wellness is what we should strive for.
I agree. Sister Aisha, you want to chime in about that?
Yeah, I agree with him as well because I have a father. I'm the youngest of 6 kids, so I was raised in a pretty big household. And I mean, anytime that one of them got into a fight or one of us got into it, I mean, we were all called downstairs and we had a 2 to 3 hour lecture. And by the end of that, we wasn't doing nothing else because we got the lesson. It was a lesson in that, and it was for us to be able to communicate with each other and not fight and different things like that. So I do agree with him. And also on the other side of the spectrum, I think that when it comes to you wanting to express yourself and things that you're going through, I think a lot of times the people that we want to talk to don't have the tools. So how can they actually assist us? And they may be needing to support themselves. Not only that, but a lot of times our families don't want to believe that we are going through something. I mean, I remember growing up and I'm just like, man, like, I got a headache. You ain't got no headache. Like, how you gonna tell me my head don't hurt? Like, I know what I feel. Or it's just so different little things to downplay what you're really feeling. And so all the times those things got downplayed, it shut the person's voice down to even express themselves. So a lot of things do stem from my first community, like I said, which is our family.
It seems like when the matriarch leaves the family, it's not the same, and people tend to struggle with their thoughts and don't feel comfortable talking to anyone, anybody. That's true too.
Sometimes.
Hmm. Most of the time. Most of the time. So let's talk about prevention. What are some steps or some resources that people can turn to when they or someone that they love is at risk? Besides the hotlines.
I would say, if you are aware, if you do see that somebody near to you is, spiraling down, I would just say just to show up. Just show up. You don't even have to say nothing. You don't have to do anything. If they don't need you to do nothing, just be there. A lot of times they just need somebody just to be there. That's a lot of the times, So and somebody who can really, really hear them and not just say, "Oh, well, God got you. You'll be all right. God got it." And it's like that's not what they need right now, and you're actually downplaying what they really have going on. Because if God had it, they wouldn't be going through what they're going through. So
That's
Yeah.
go ahead, sister.
No, you go. You go.
That's one thing I cannot stand. I'm gonna tell the truth. Like, oh, God's got it, or it was God's plan. That bothers me so bad. Like when somebody passes away and then they say, "Oh, it's God's plan."
Hmm.
I don't really, I don't really agree with that. But Aisha, on the holistic side, how do you integrate spiritual and cultural practices into mental health and wellness?
well, for me, like I said, my first really awareness into my own spirituality that I was actually aware of was when I started doing yoga. And I was a personal trainer at the time, and I had some clients that I would take into the classroom to do the yoga class. And then I was doing it with them. And then as I was doing it, I was getting into it. And then I started doing my research about it. And then as I started reading about what yoga really was, the yokeness of the mind, the body, and the spirit, it started opening up a lot of things for me, and I started diving deep into everything, right? Really just who I was. And so, for me, yoga was really my first thing that helped me. That might not be everybody's, initiation and first thing, but I think that is meditation is good. Breath work is good because it allows you to become present with yourself. So now you can actually feel, I think a lot of times too, so many things are going on. We go through so much stuff, the worldly things, and we become numb and sensitized to a lot of different things. So we don't feel anymore. And so if we're not feeling, how can you connect with your spirit, in your soul? And so I think COVID really showed a lot of that during COVID. People being able to, or not being able to sit with themselves, be inside, deal with things that they had going on, because we're always moving and going, and there's no stopping. The only stopping you have is when you go to sleep, and then you gotta get back up and do it again. So I really think, and then I really want people to find, it's so many different ways things you can do. They wanted us to stay inside during COVID. That should have been the time where we were actually outside. I think outside, being in nature, being around water, being in the grass, grounding yourself is top tier on the list. It sounds silly. When I was young, my father would be like, "Why you walking around barefoot? That's country." I'm like, okay, I'm from the country, but that felt good to me. And there's a reason why that felt good to me, and so there's so many different things. Art therapy is one. Drawing, coloring, like she said, writing, just using your voice to express yourself. There's so many different things, just so many different things you can do. Go to the spa, you go to the beach. You just have to find what it is that works for you, because everything, just find what that thing, because everybody might not like to do yoga, and yoga might not do it for them. It might be Tai Chi. Maybe they need to go talk to somebody. Maybe they do need a therapist. So this all really depends on how the person connects with that particular modality.
Makes sense. So, Brother Chance, I have a question for you. So, by you being a mental health professional, do you have like a therapist, or how do you handle things whenever you feel down and you're so used to helping everybody else? Like, how do you manage that?
Well, so let me tell you this: every great therapist has the therapist. Now, for me, I had to learn that the hard way, because just like you said, I'm so busy helping folks. It's hard for me when it's time for me to get some help. So really being in tune with more self-care and really listening to my body, not letting myself be so overstressed and overwhelmed with things, and really master that word, really how we can handle, and then we don't want to let nobody down. So Aisha talked about some things, and all those tools that we're gaining, these coping mechanisms, coping skills, things that we need to be able to implement. Like she said, it could be anything, whatever it is that you connect with. We got to be able to go back and face some of those traumas in our life and actually heal through those things. It ain't gonna just go away because it happened years ago. And some people, we're getting to great places in our lives, and then boom, something that happened to you when you were 7 or 8 years old pop back up, and now it's a thing in your present life. It's a title for it. It's called ACE, Adverse Childhood Experiences. And we don't know how much that stuff has created our habits just for survival. So we got to stop surviving, and we got to get to living. If y'all want to live, we got to use the coping skills. We got to talk to each other. We got to express how we really feel. Some people so used to wearing that mask that it never comes off, even when they at home by themselves. If you can't be real with yourself in the mirror when you look at yourself, you'll never get through this. You got to be able to look at yourself in the mirror and get through whatever is bothering you. You got to accept it, accept that it happened, but also you got to let it be known that it doesn't have to be the end of you. And it doesn't have to, you don't have to carry that with you as you move forward.
So, when you brought up childhood, right? What would you say to those that are struggling with childhood issues that would like to address their parents or their grandmother or their aunts on certain things, but they're just not receptive to how you feel?
That journaling is a great thing. Maybe write a letter.
Mhm.
I know holistically they have some releasing ceremonies of things that nature that can help you be able to get through some things. I would even talk about maybe even meditation. Just being quiet and silent with yourself, 20, 30 minutes to start with, and try to make it up into an hour. We don't spend no time with ourselves, with our inner self. We so busy doing everything on the outside, the inner you need attention. That little child, you need attention. And we got to give that attention or it's going to do what? A kid going to throw a tantrum. That's the same thing your body going to do. So, but you better get some attention to it.
Right, facts.
And I also want to add to that too, because a lot of times the person that we do need to talk to about certain things, especially when it comes to childhood trauma, they might not be here. They may have transitioned, or like you said, they might not want to receive what you are saying. So, but that part's not for them. That's for you. And even if they're here, they're not here, you still have to do the work. So there are things you can do, like mirror work. Mirror work helps a lot. Looking at yourself in the mirror, and imagining that you're talking to the person who you need to speak to. Because sometimes, like I say, they transition or they go somewhere and we're not able to say the things that we need to say to them. So we want to keep that in mind too as well, that the work still has to get done regardless if the person who did anything to you is here or not.
It does. It does get stored.
So I would love for each of you to share one practice, like a piece of wisdom, a resource that has been most transformative in your journey to inner peace. Besides like Aisha, besides like the yoga.
For me, I always check in with myself daily. I think a daily check-in is necessary. Like earlier, I think Brother Chance reached out to me, like, how you feeling? I was like, I don't know yet. I'm still trying to figure that out. And sometimes you don't have to put a label on anything. I'm here, I don't feel bad, but I'm here. One thing that I also like to do is with my clients, when I do the water therapy, I create a checklist. And with this checklist, it asks you questions for you to reflect emotionally, mentally, and spiritually. And these are things that you can allow them to rate themselves. So usually when a client comes to me for like a water session, it's usually they booked 7 to 14 days before. And so I would give them this checklist, which I use myself. And you can rate it. You can do like a rate 1 through 5. You can answer the questions, but it is for you to sit with them and reflect without judgment. of yourself to see what you have going on. And a lot of times what I would do for myself and the client is after a week, I'll look at this and I'll look at the patterns that are there. Okay, well, I've been feeling like this for the last 7 days, or I've been, or my emotions have been fluctuating every day. And so I would use that tool. And how I work with my clients is if I see a consistent pattern of, okay, they've been feeling low like this for the past 7 days, we need to intervene with some prevention resources. And because I might not have, all the tools to support them in that, and then really diving deep into what's really going on. And so I do a daily checklist, usually weekly for me. I might do it twice a week, and I just ask myself certain questions to really check in with myself. And then if something's not in alignment, I'll sit with that until it's back in alignment, and then I go from there. But I think a daily check-in, asking yourself, how am I really feeling? How am I doing? Is a good start.
And I know with us, like a lot of us being in the community and taking on so much that we do, sometimes it is hard to kind of slow down.
Yeah.
And I had a lot of people tell me, and Sister Aisha was one of them, like, you got to slow down. You got to
Sit
slow
down.
Because I was one of those people that always felt like, okay, if I don't do it, it's not going to get done. Do y'all ever feel that way?
Mhm.
Yeah.
Yeah. So how do y'all deal with that?
I think it's also knowing that you are worthy regardless of what you have to offer. And I think a lot of us melanated dominant people, we have to know that when we're not doing anything, we are still worthy.
Yeah.
And so a lot of times when we just have to keep going and keep going and keep showing up, going to this event, going there, going there, a lot of times that's just to validate what we feel that we're lacking. And I had to sit with that with myself. It's like, you can slow down. You ain't got to show up. Are you showing up for yourself? Before you go to this event and you agree to showing up there, have you shown up for yourself today?
Mm-hmm.
And a quote that I received from the divine is, instead of trying to love yourself, just love yourself like somebody you love.
That's
And when you
beautiful.
do that, you realize, oh, I ain't even love myself for real today. What I'm doing going over here to this event, trying to go and show it for the community. And I'm sick.
Mm-hmm.
So we have to know that we're still worthy. We're not even worthy of love and of validate. We are that.
Yes.
So that's my take on it. It's like, we have to know that we are still worthy, regardless of if we just do nothing. If you lay in the bed all day, because I got my days where I don't do nothing. I might be in here crying, screaming, writing. Do that. But guess what? You still love. You still like. You still everything.
Aisha, is that your cat?
You hear the cat meowing?
That baby wants some attention.
Okay, I'm surprised it didn't come across the laptop yet. Showing off.
But yeah, that's my take on it.
So, is there anything else that you all would like to add to
Hold
this
on, I wanted to say something. When we talk about this mental health thing, I know for me, working with kids was my therapy.
Mm-hmm.
Because I feel like I get to be the help that I didn't have. Right. So at the same time I'm working, I'm healing stuff from my past.
Yes.
the kids. You know what I mean? And we got to understand how that cycle works. That cycle continues. And for us, we got to remember too. For us, we started to be on this frequency with each other. Well, I can feel you. I can feel you. I see the passion and the work that you do. We all starting to be on this frequency together. We got big hearts, and we want to do a lot because we feel for the people. When we're around them, we take on all their energy. We take on their trauma sometimes,
Yes.
and we hold it inside of us. And if we don't let it out, it'll tear us apart. And we got to remember that this is years and years of systematic oppression that we are battling against.
Yeah.
And we have to put ourselves, just like the sister just said, we have to put ourselves in the place of care. Because if we don't care for ourselves, we won't be here long enough to complete the work.
Yeah.
So if you really want to talk about getting this work done in these communities and all the other things that we got on our plates, our self-care has to be in the top 3 things. It has to be. If it's not, I dare say you're not really trying to do this community work that long. So if you really care about the work that you're doing, you got to put yourself, you got to be selfish sometimes. Put yourself in that top tier of the people who you care about.
Yes.
It's a must.
I know I was selfish all last week.
Hey.
I
Got to
felt
be.
good about it too. I was selfish.
Yes.
I felt good about it too. And you know what made me feel even better was telling people no.
Mm.
The no
Because
therapy.
I always help people and I'm an empath too. And I think sometimes just like you say, the energy of other people will come onto you and you got to release that somehow. And it's just a lot. People with different energies and uh, so I was selfish all last week.
Mm.
And I'm sick. I know I'm sick. I was trying to say like, man, I'm not sick. I woke up like a couple days sound like Marge Simpson, and I still went about my day because I have children. I have so many people to take care of. But then I thought about it, and I was like, if I don't take care of me, who's gonna take care of them? I have a husband. He go to work and everything, but they need me, so I have to take care of me. In order to take care of them, my cup has to be full. You know. So sometimes I have my selfish moments, and it wasn't always like that, because I always had to show up for somebody. If it wasn't somebody in my family, it was somebody in the community, or just somebody that just wanted, me to hear them out, to give them advice, and just no matter how I was feeling, I just took on everybody else's trauma and it just piled up. Let me tell you though, my dad passed away in 2018. I talk about it sometimes. If y'all ever caught a podcast before. And the day I show up for people so much, the day that my dad passed, I had people calling me and contacting me, asking me for advice in their personal life.
Mm.
And I got to the point to where I'm like, man, if I receive another phone call. So my husband is not the Facebook type, but he went on there and he typed. And I appreciate him for it too. And he was like, do not contact Natural about anything because she is in her grieving phase. It just happened that day.
Mm.
Everybody was just calling nonstop. And people were sending their condolences, texting their condolences, and that's great. But when you call me with the situation that you're going through, and I just lost my father, something's wrong. Something's wrong. So a lot of times I have to reevaluate things, reevaluate people, reevaluate myself, because we take on a lot, and I'm being like really, really transparent. Really transparent. One of the reasons why I'm a big advocate for men, and I get a lot of like backlash from some sisters for that, is because of my father. But I think I told Sister Aisha some of that, but it's because of him. And that would be another. I would have another podcast about that. 'Cause
Mm,
different. That's a whole different thing because I feel like whenever, like, let's say our parents don't have an outlet or they don't have healing within themselves, they tend to take it out on their children, and then it just becomes. And thankfully, it didn't happen with me, but it becomes like a generational curse where it goes into another generation and another generation, another generation. We got to stop it somewhere, right? So when we talk about healing, it's not just a one-time thing, it's a journey. And
Right.
we're gonna forever be healing, throughout
Yeah.
our life. Always be healing. And I do want to say, and I don't know if you would agree to this, being a mental health professional, but I don't believe that everything that happened to you bad in life is traumatic. I think these days people think that just because you went through something, it's a trauma. And I think some people need to learn the difference from a bad experience and actual trauma, because trauma affects you like almost every day of your life, or in some situations that you're put in. Am I wrong about that, or what do you feel?
Um, so the trauma thing, some things are over dramatic. I'm gonna say that because like you said, everything is not a oh woe is me moment. Sometimes you went through some things and it built character. You went through some things and it taught you how to survive situations. It taught you how to, you know, be a firm person in the world, because the world gonna throw you some curveballs. It's gonna throw you some hooks and some punches sometimes. The world gonna have you in a chokehold sometimes. You're gonna have to you gotta figure out how to get out. And if you never went through nothing, how you gonna get out?
Yeah.
Right.
Everything ain't meant to be over over dramatic, but real traumatic situations, and I'm not gonna say what's real and what's not, because that's up to you and your perspective and how it happened to you. But if you notice something in yourself and being honest with yourself, you realize, man, maybe it's me. Maybe it's my view. Everybody, I'm going everywhere, and everybody, I got an issue with everything everybody doing. This person can't do right there. I'm talking about everybody. Sometimes it's you. And if you're the leader in your family or your community organization, and you're the one who carried the most weight of you doing everything, it might be you, because you used to doing everything on your own. Go get some help. Let somebody hold your hands up. Delegate some other stuff to somebody else. Let them do it. I know it's hard on you because you don't believe in nobody but you, because you've been doing it your whole life. It's just been you. You got to let that mentality go.
Mm-hmm.
Get you a new mindset. And sometimes we have to realize with ourselves that certain situations that we in, we ain't supposed to be in them.
Mm.
Hmm.
Let's talk about it.
Deep
Sometimes you,
Vegas.
you you got a partner. Your partner is the one who you need to be with. Sometimes you got people out there that's really needy people. And believe it or not, they'll need you to death. And when you die, they'll need somebody else.
Mm.
so
Let's just
true.
be real about it.
So true. So true.
If you
Facts.
always the one that's giving, you're a giver, you a pleaser, you want to please everybody around, you want everybody to be happy with you and love you. Sometimes they'll love you to death.
Yeah.
So you got to know how to release that. Some people are leeches. They
Ah,
just sucking you dry for everything that they can get from you. You got to cut that off. Everything, you got to start having mutual beneficial relationships with people.
Yes.
And I'm not talking about romantic. I'm talking about friendships, your
Yeah.
homies, your co-workers. Everything got to be mutual. Because it's give and take. If I'm always giving, I'm going to run out at some point. And when you run out, you're going to burn out and crash out.
Facts.
True. That's
And
facts.
the thing about it is so simple. If you ain't got nobody to turn to, say you ain't got nobody in your circle, you can call 988. You can text 988. If you're thinking about doing something to yourself or you harming yourself, you ain't got nobody to talk to, call them. They get paid to talk to you.
Hmm.
You can't say you ain't got nobody to turn to. Sometimes a stranger gonna tell you better advice than somebody who in your circle.
Facts.
And that because they don't have nothing to benefit from it. People giving you advice to help themselves. So we gotta put ourselves in the front seat more often and just be more mindful of that you know, people are takers in the world.
Mm-hmm.
Not everybody, but some of them are. And some of them be in your circle, more than likely.
And know that it's going to get done. I was just talking about that, and I'm happy that you spoke on it. You
For
was
sure.
going in, brother. You was going in.
I apologize.
No.
But
It's
I'm
needed.
passionate
Don't
about making it happen.
apologize. Don't. And I said that too. They're going to figure it out. The people who you think that you are everything to, when you say no or you stop giving, they have no choice but to figure it out. Either they're going to find somebody else to do it or they're going to do it themselves.
They're
You
going to
cannot
figure it out.
be
They're going to crash out,
everything.
one or the other.
And if they crash out, it ain't
Nothing to do with you.
they just crashing out at this point. Like, I would like to share a poem if that's okay. If I don't know if we over time, if we can end it on a poem.
I have one more thing to say, Sister Natural, something that you had mentioned earlier. We have to understand that healing is not linear.
Right.
Healing is not linear. There is no straight path from pain to peace. It's going to be ups and downs, spirals. You know, you got your seasons, your cycles. You know, you have, you know, your tides, your waves, your currents. But I think with that being said, as we are on our healing journey, we continue to pick up these tools, right, to assist us, because I can say I'm healed and I'm all good today and I'm all that, and then tomorrow, you know, God forbid, somebody in my family that I love or anybody transitions. Now I have to heal through that, but now I have the tools. I know what to do.
Mm-hmm.
There is no I don't know what to do. I have built the tools, and I have the tools that I've been working, not tools that I got and that have been sitting there. I've been working these things, so I know what to do when it's time for me to use them. And I got these tools. I don't know how to do yoga. I don't know what I'm doing, you know, and you messing yourself up. And so I think that is another thing that's very important, and continue to have grace and compassion for yourself on this journey too as well. We don't have it all figured out. We know that we were not taught a lot of things. We know that we're just figuring this out along our way. So have the grace and the compassion for yourself, and know that you're doing the best you can with what you have, and it is okay. So that's my piece.
Yes. It's okay not to be okay.
Yeah.
Yep. So, do anybody else have anything that they would like to add before we go ahead and end? This was a great topic. That's why even though I was sick, I was like, yeah, you know, this is something that people definitely need to hear. You know, I've lost a couple of people from suicide,
Mm.
you know, and real close to me. So this was Very much needed. You know.
In November, I'm hosting my 3rd annual Black Wellness and Yoga Fest.
Mhm.
I've been doing it for the last 3 years, and along with other community events, I've done a lot of health and wellness things. But I need people to understand when these events are going on, it's meant for you to show up, because there's going to be something or somebody there that you need or you didn't know that you needed in these spaces. And if y'all can spend 10, 20, 30, 40, $50 going to the club, or going to trap yoga, whatever the other thing is, you can show up to the health and wellness and get all that you need in one space from different people throughout the city who have been doing the work, who are licensed professionals and who can support you on your journey, whether it be energy work, whether it be just getting a reading so you can really know what's going on inside of you, whether it's getting certain herbs that you need to help you with certain things, or learning about a new modality that you didn't know can support you in that. And so I really want to keep everybody updated on that and all the other mental health events that are going on in the community. If they're happening, you should be showing up and bringing your families.
So true.
Thank you once again, Sister Ashlyn, for telling your story and being very transparent. Give me 1 second. Apologize, kids. So if there's someone that and if you're even struggling yourself, just know that you're not alone. And there are some people who care about you and resources that can help. Just like brother Chan said, you can call 988, the suicide and crisis lifeline, and that's a free number and confidential support, correct?
Of course, it's always going to be confidential.
Okay. So I want to thank my incredible guests, Aisha, Ashlyn, and Chance, for sharing their wisdom and their stories and their light with us today. But remember, healing doesn't happen overnight, but every step forward is a progress. So just keep showing up for yourself and for the people around you, but mainly show up for you.
Yeah.
So I'm Sister Natural, and this has been another episode of I Thought We Wanted Change. Until next time, take care of your mind, your body, and your spirit.
Poem.
What?
Poem.
Oh, go ahead. Go ahead.
Okay. Thank you, y'all. The great Maya Angelou said, "Be a rainbow in somebody's clouds." India Reese said, "It doesn't cost a thing to smile," and I guess that's why I love them both. Has someone ever picked you up when you were low, hugged you when you needed it most, texted you when you just wanted to go ghost? It's because they care about you. Your presence makes them feel inspired. So let me tell you, the devil is a liar. You belong here. No, you're not just taking up air. There's space for you. And listen, I know life has been heavy, but I need you to see it through. You see, even the clouds have to move eventually. And I bet the first rainbow that you've ever seen is still stuck inside your memory. Did you forget it came after the rain? You are not your emotions, is what I'm saying. You are not your pain. And soon, this physical body will dissipate. And I know you will be okay with that as of late, but wait, I want you to stay. I know what you're thinking. You're just a woman, a random woman on stage. We're going to go our separate ways and I won't feel, and I'll still feel this pain. And let me tell you, two things can be true. But maybe I was sent by God to encourage you, to let you know that I'm a flower now, but I had to bear my own roots. You see, I was once just like you. I was praying that the pain would go away, and my only solution was to blow out my own brains, but I decided to stay. And no, it wasn't because of the weather. I rendered my pain over to God. You see, I took a long look in the mirror. I had to give up self-sabotage. My unhealthy thoughts and habits were keeping me blind from the truth. And listen, I know that there were people who hurt you, but it's up to you to heal your own wounds. You see, it's easier said than done. But I had to sit with myself. And even though I was no longer in school, my shadow work was long overdue. See, I went on and I fed my soul food, journaling, crying, yoga, praying was even on the menu too. And listen, I know what you're thinking. You ain't gonna ever get through. But I promise, it's up to you. That's my piece.
I love that. What do you call that?
That was beautiful.
Thank you. I call
Do
her
you have
Maya.
a title?
Maya.
I love that. Thank you for sharing. And thank you all for tuning in. And thank you all for coming on the platform. I really appreciate it. It was well needed, I think, for all of us and myself as well. So thank you. And there's nothing else to say after that beautiful poem. So everybody have a good night, and we'll see you next
All right,
time.
y'all.
All right.